Hey, what's going on, everybody? And thanks for joining me again. We are back with Rethink Solutions, and I got my good friend, Jon Astacio. Today's question we're here to tackle is, what are we doing about Elon's Twittervention? Oh, yeah, we've got intervention by the government in our politics, and all the Twitter files that have dropped is showing that currently. So there's been about 3 drops so far when it comes to these Twitter files. For those of you that don't know, Elon Musk, my friend put it perfectly. Elon Musk purchased a crime scene. This dude walks in and he's got the murder weapon, the victim, the perpetrator, all on paper, documented, and he's releasing it for the public. Now, there's some curious things going on. I got to admit, he's getting the documents, these Twitter files, filtering them and giving us the majority of them, but you got to also wonder, what is he filtering out? Why is he going through them, period? If he's the big warrior about clear, clean transparency. So you're sitting there also scratching your head going like, well, then why does he have to go through these things and kind of monitor how much of it we're getting? So there also, just a little anecdotal thing, he went through and cleared all these employees, right? Fired all the compromised employees, but he left a known FBI agent to him. It was known, like it's documented that he would have known that this guy was an infiltrated FBI agent. So why did he keep him? Did he keep him as a mole to kind of mess with them? Or did he know and was working with? Who knows? I think they're all fingers to the same hand. But let's get to the Twitter files. So he drops 3 so far series of files that shows that the government, specifically the Democratic Party, intervened in our elections and our politics using one of the biggest social media platforms, Twitter, and monitoring what conversations could happen, censoring those that they didn't like, and shadow banning accounts that they seemed as a threat. They would literally just, and there's emails, documents. If agents of the government would contact Twitter, inform them that this person is a problem, they would silence them, shadow ban them, whatever, or just eliminate them entirely, or they would hide, delete, or shadow ban tweets revolving around topics that could harm the president, or, at the time, the president-elect. So the first drop showed that the Hunter Biden story was targeted and hidden. Accounts speaking about it were silenced and deleted. In that conversation, Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter at the time, was being protected. People were coming to his defense that, yes, these were rogue players within Twitter, but Jack was unaware. Jack did not know of this comings abouts and didn't know that there was this collusion with the government. Drop 2, nip that in the butt very quick. Jack did not come out too hot. He clearly knew. Him and head attorney Vijay Gadde were clearly in cahoots. They knew, and they were consciously acting out the suggestions of the government. Now we get to drop 3. This was the most recent, and it showed that Donald Trump was directly targeted. His account was directly targeted. And I'm not going to talk about the first month of the year, the 6th day, the CIA play that they put on for us that wasn't real. Can't say that. The very real staged event that was put on by our government was also perpetuated and carried out by Twitter. There's documents strictly by these agents saying how they are going to fabricate the call to violence by the president and how important it is to push this throughout the platform to make it concrete and known. And so here's where we're at. We still have more files to come. The dumps just keep coming. Who knows what Daddy Elon's going through and is going to bestow upon us with knowledge next. But based on what we have currently, It's showing a huge problem, John. The problem being these social media companies get to hide under the guise of being hey, we're private. We're private. So you're using our private platform. We get to make the rules here. And so you're right. You get to make the rules. So that's an element that we're dealing with. Alongside then the government intervening and them cooperating with each other. I've had this theory for the longest time, and it's finally showing its head. Social media platforms have been working with the government since the dawn of their existence. Why? Because there's no laws on the books by a Congress that are policing these social medias. So Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, they go, hey, we'll do whatever you say, whatever you want, we're going to do. That way, we got full cooperation, and you never go in that big room and make rules by putting pen to paper, because once it's on paper and it's concrete law, it is no longer easy for us to change it, get rid of it, do away with it, and alter it, all those things. So now I have to, so we'll cooperate as long as you don't actually make any of those laws. Well, that's led us down a road where it's full cooperation to the point where they are an extension of the government. So where do we go from here? They also in the Twitter files talked about how mail ballot harvesting, that story needed to be stifled, and all the graphs and statistics, like real concrete evidence, all deleted from Twitter by AI bots seeking it out specifically. So this is where I'm going to leave the question. Okay. We've had a president in the past cheat and steal an election. He got caught by his rooms being bugged through Watergate. And guess what? He was forced to resign. So we're at a point where our president cheated. Social media was used as a tool to manipulate the public and change the outcome. In the past, this has resulted with the president stepping down. Well, the dead guy at the helm not only isn't stepping down, but he's trading Russian arms dealers for basketball players, and he's planning on running again. So at the point at which we're still here, nothing's being done, and we're sitting here going, there's Twittervention and government Twittervention, and we can't even find a way of recourse, but we're going to be expecting to vote again and pretend everything's all hunky-dory. What are we going to do, John? First election was stolen by Russia. This election was cheated on Twitter, and we know about the ballot harvesting, and we're just supposed to blindly vote again as if we're all good and hunky-dory?
Give up, sir. I think we're screwed, and we should just give up and just dig a hole in the beach somewhere or in the dirt. Put your head in there and give up.
Hey, I'll find
that's what they want me to say.
Sounds like a good answer. Forget about the problems and find a beach somewhere.
Right. The interesting part is I see it as a slow drip scenario. You slowly drip and expose things one by one, and you let the people that are trying to cover up and the people that are being exposed to use all their ammunition, all their tactics, and bring to light those tactics. And you are now educating the people on how to wake up by listening to the slow drip for the first time, let's say. And Twitter's a great place to do it, assuming that that's the plan. It is coming off like a slow drip because you said that you feel that there is a lot being held back, and those things are still pretty heavy. But at the same time, if you are trying to date somebody, you're not going to propose that we get married right away. So I do. It does make sense for the slow drip, instead of trying to marry the idea that there is a dark force trying to take away our freedoms, when that is really definitely happening. But you have to start, taking them out on a couple of dates and you know, go to the movies, maybe step it up a little bit and take them to an opera, a Broadway show, stuff like
Can
that.
I
That's what
ask
I
you a
see happening.
follow-up
Yeah.
question?
Yeah, yeah.
Quick follow-up question. Why does the drip have to be slow? If the metaphor of that drip is exposure of the darkness amongst us, why does that have to be slow? Why can't we just do a flood dump of all of this information? The problem is you and I are aware of this stuff, this information, because we go deep into the corners of the internet. There is an exposure to it. The question then begs, how do you get a big dump of information where that information is being deleted, stifled, hidden, and isn't going to make it to the natural public? I mean, besides just having these types of conversations, how do you get that exposure to begin with? And why does it have to be slow? Can't we just do them, like, get as much exposure? I want this fixed tomorrow, yesterday, not,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
in a
yeah,
year.
yeah. I think that's been the argument and the challenge for the past couple of years, right? The more you talk about it's going to happen and it doesn't happen, the less credibility you may have. But at the same time, you don't. I let's say scenario A, it's a huge, massive dump. This sounds really bad, right? Of information. um, Massive dump of information, and right, get your head out of the gutter. And so, who's going to hear it? It's easier to cover up one massive dump with a massive false flag or a massive psyop to direct your attention while that's being uncovered, right? But if you slow
Exactly.
drip it, there's only so much things you can do to make people, I forgot, misdirect people, right? And
Oh
at the
yeah.
same time, the distribution channels of the people that are fighting back, right? The internet warriors, the internet soldiers, those are still being developed right now. We are taking advantage of the technology that is speeding up to support that for people that are working at home. But I feel like those channels are still growing. You still, you have Rumble, you have just a whole list of them, and those are still new to people that are waking up. And I feel like when those get established, when those have a large enough following and activity on them, I think that will be a good time to take that massive steaming dump of all this exposure. And that's how I see it happening. In my mind, I see like flies, like.
Man, we're really going down that road.
I tried.
So I think you raise a great point, and let me kind of just lay a groundwork to emphasize your point. I've kind of taken on the position where these companies no longer, specifically Twitter and maybe Facebook, but specifically Twitter, you no longer get to play the game of, hey, I'm a private company. I get to make the rules around here. There's no right to freedom of speech here. I give you that luxury because this is my platform. You no longer were private and became a public utility, like the roads and the water pipes where we have a right to them. You became a public utility.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you became the focal center square for conversation, the freedom of speech was always based around the metaphorical understanding of like the town square, where like you get to throw your soapbox down and say your piece. Well, you no longer were just a little luxury on the internet and became the town square. The moment you became the focal messaging point of the president, now the commander in chief, the man in charge, is doing most of the communication on Twitter, most of the discourse, research, exchange of facts and documents, for
Real
whatever
time.
reason, is on the platform limited to 160 characters. Beats me how we ended up here, but that's the fact. So you no longer get the claim of being a private entity that gets to limit speech. You are a public utility where citizens now have rights.
Mm.
Okay. So you laid a groundwork for us. All right, I'm going to cut this out. What was your point again? Just give me a quick brief. I lost my train of thought.
Slow drip.
No, boom. Okay. So getting to your point directly, why is Twitter even able to be the town square, the focal point of conversation? Because that's the only place we're at. Everybody's there. Kind of like Facebook. That's why I kind of think Facebook's a part of this conversation. It's funny. Facebook stole the first election in 2016. Twitter stole the second election. It's going to show my point, in trend just on 2 recent elections, but they really only have that power of control because it's the only place we're all at. I think just like, I had a conversation on our podcast yesterday, and one of the things that came up is, to save yourself in the financial crisis of the SBF scamming FTX, when you have those situations, the answer to my guest gave was, you got to have education. You got to get out there. And it isn't just reading the first article. You got to keep scrolling. Do a few of them. Well, if that's the understanding for education and getting out of the prison of ignorance, well, then diversification of thought should be applied to everything, not just the articles you read and the sources you go to, but it should be the social media platforms that you allow to suck your attention and give you information. You should be on Bumble. You should be on BitChute. What did we just hop on a new thing called Hive? As these things pop up, you should be giving them a chance. Wrestle with them a bit. I mean, again, looking at something like TikTok, there was a period when I was in law school and I was the only person I knew on TikTok. It was a totally different platform. I'd go to my friends, you got to try this thing. It's going to be the biggest thing. No. Now every human's got one. So part of it is the sad infection of the hive. You're not going to pick it up until like 5 people at school tells me I need to get this thing. I'm going to get this thing. Why did you get Be Real? Why? Because you want to feel young and all the kids got them. Not because that yeah, it really excites me that once a day, a thing's going to tell me I need to take a picture right now. It's like, that sounds like an inconvenience. But you do it, not because that sounds like an absolute thrill, but because everybody's doing it. So part of this is going to be getting the narrative out there that we all need to diversify our platforms. That way, we can't just be stifled in one place. And also that one place cannot use their agenda to totally control our outcome. So I really liked that point, and I think that might be the answer. We need to disarm the strength of Twitter by also supplying the other platforms.
No, I agree. And I really like your idea of turning Twitter into a utility because it changes the game. They can't hide behind being a private company anymore because that is the excuse right now, right? For them to do whatever they want to do. Hey, it's a private company. We made that decision. We're going that direction. You don't have to use us. And you don't have to use a utility either. But at the same time, it has different rules. I don't know what those rules specifically are, but maybe you can enlighten us on the difference between a private company and a utility and how that, unless that's not as specific. I'm not sure if you ever go into that.
Again, you have legal rights to it, right?
Mhm.
So you're paying taxes into water. Well, guess what? Now the government has an obligation to get it to you, right? Sidewalks. How many people walk on a sidewalk and they're like, hey, off of my property. And you're like, this is the sidewalk, Grandpa. It's everybody's. Well, that's the theory of it. Like, it's called an easement, right? Like, that is your property, right? That's your property. The government has taken 2 feet wide path all the way through it, and they put concrete in it. That didn't look nice for my nice green grass, but they do it because it has a utility for the public. We all pay for it. Not only does the property owner get the benefit of it there and in other locations, but everybody gets the benefit of it. So that means grandpa can't say, whoa, 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 you must be this tall to cross my sidewalk. Nope. There's no demographic that can't be stopped. It is everybody gets access to it. And that can be applied to the roads, the all eight. I can go the whatever's a public utility. Just think of a public utility is a right, and so it has protection rights.
So if it becomes a public utility, what happens to Elon? What happens to that?
Well,
that
again,
business?
It gets kind of murky. Think of like prisons and stuff, right? Like that's a public utility that's privately owned. We have utilities that are the electric GE. When I was a kid, probably like when I was in college, I'm looking at my friend at the bar and I go, what is the richest entity in the world? Like, what's the richest company? We're talking about Disney. Disney just bought Star Wars and this, that, and the other thing. We're like, do they own everything? Like what is Disney worth compared to everything else? Turns out Disney doesn't even hold a candle to some of the most, valued companies in the world, most of them being banks. So on the list of 10, when 8 of them are banks, guess what? Like it wasn't number 1 because number 1 was a bank because they own us all, but up there in like top 3 was General Electric, a company that owns all the electricity of the world. It's a utility available to you, but it is privately owned. So it doesn't like remove Elon. It limits his ability to restrict people. They now have rights that can be legally protected. Let me get to a legal foundation that I'm just so disappointed that I will not be operating in the legal field soon enough to be whoever gets to do this. And it's now, whoever's filing it right now is going to go down in history as the Johnny Cochran that saved us all. One of the great attorneys. This will be a name we all talk about. A great attorney right now. So you, clown, taking my idea. I hear you. But this is the move. You sue YouTube. Twitter right now, Elon, I got it on the screen here. Elon tweeted something recently that only further substantiated my position. He tweeted how another move he wants to make with Twitter is to inform you if you are shadow banned, how your algorithm is different, why you are shadow banned, and how you can appeal. You want to know why he's doing that, John? Because right now, YouTube gets to go, hey, I'm making the rules. I get to say what you can and can't say here. And I get to go, you're right. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you for letting me use your platform and exposing my message to as many people as I can. But here's what YouTube cannot do. And here's what YouTube will legally get in trouble for. And I'm so disappointed I will not be on that buyout because they would pay me boko bucks. YouTube does have the legal right on their private platform to limit the speech, to change your algorithm. But you know what YouTube does not have the legal right to do? To purport to me that my use of their platform is the same use as Fail Army, Good Mythical Morning, Mr. Beast, all the family friendly, hunky dory, big, the big whales for YouTube, right? For you to advertise to me, what you're selling me is my algorithm is the same as theirs. And I invest my attention, energy, money. I mean, I've given this thing everything. And you've led me to believe that I have the same opportunities available to me as all those others. So yes, YouTube, you're right. You could do whatever you want to me. But you know what you can't do is do whatever you want to me and not inform me of what you've done, how you've limited me, and how it is different from the other people that are thriving on your platform. And the fact that you are leading me to believe that I have the same opportunity available to me as them is fraud. And I'm coming for you. So, to your point, what's the difference between a private and public platform? YouTube gets to say, I don't want these videos, or this shouldn't be exposed to kids. But what they still owe you, even in the private sector, is its transparency. And if you're using the lack of transparency to promote engagement and fraudulently sell opportunities that don't exist, you have committed a crime. So even in the private sector, you aren't totally stripped of all of your rights. Any wrapping thoughts on this topic?
No. And it's interesting how we brought YouTube into it, but as far as I think we hit a lot of good topics, a lot of good points on Twittervention, and yeah, I'm good here. We did a lot.
We did a lot. We have government Twittervention. I think the response to it, John, you nailed this answer. I really got to hats off to you. Is you got to diversify your platforms. If we are going to take on the argument or position that the focal point of these conversations are going to be on these platforms and moving forward in the interconnected hive that is the internet, then you need to disarm the monopoly that is Twitter. And the way to do that is exposure on other platforms. So catch us on Rumble, right? But guys, thanks for joining us again. If we made you laugh, if we made you think, the best you could do to support this show is to share that link. Take it and send. If you enjoyed it, that means someone you know or someone you like will enjoy it too. So send it, text it, whatever. Get that link over to them. You can catch all of our content at www.rethinktankpodcast.com. We've got new episodes of the Rethink Tank podcast coming out every Tuesday, so check that out. Otherwise, John, where can they catch you?
newhhuman.com. Thank you very much.
That's right. Otherwise, guys, you can catch me at Grgat57. Catch him at Jon Astacio on Instagram and all the other platforms, and we'll catch you on the next one. See you next Thursday. Peace.